Hello, this is Laura Ferro from group number 4, and we're going to be talking to you about the history of translation in Latin America. Our group has 4 members, which are Miguel Murcia, Laura Moreno, Vanessa Villamizar, and me.
When Colon arrived in 1492, he already carried with him two interpreters who knew Latin, Hebrew, Greek, Armenian, and Arabic, but they weren't very useful for obvious reasons. Hence, Colon, in his next journeys, will carry in natives to Spanish, with the aim to teach them Spanish and to use them as language, which was the previous name of the interpreters, who were indispensable for the conquering process. In Mexico, Malinali Tenepla, more known as La Malinche, was given as an slave to Cortes in 1519, and she served translating to the Spanish kingdom, and she was left in freedom as a result of her services. There were a lot more interpreters around all the continent, from Haiti, Colombia, etc., and even Spanish, as Juan Ortiz, who was enslaved by the Americans for about 10 years, then was found by the Spanish army and used as an interpreter. Basically, the method to become a lengua was to be enslaved either by the Americans or the Spanish, to coexist with them and to learn their language.
With the arrival of the Spanish colonizers, the communication process became a lot harder. So what they did to fix this issue is that they created a secondary language. With this, the religious people started writing grammars or they started creating dictionaries. However, they were lost or they were burnt. As mentioned previously, the translators were not recognized as a profession. So what happened is that they were slaves that were used by the kingdom. However, in 1529, with the first law, translator was actually considered a job. Then in 1563, there was a law that made translators have a wage, have schedules, have duties that are very similar to the ones we have today. Lastly, when this became a job, what happened is that they started, of course, producing and translating things. But those publications were sometimes burned or they were collected because the kingdom thought that they had errors.
By the time of independence and emancipation, new ideas started to pop up, coming from politicians and intellectuals who had the opportunity to travel abroad, especially to Europe and the US. They started to discuss about philosophical ideas and imported books. That's how translating became a need. They had to spread out these new ideas starting from education, and that involved translating important topics such as politics, teaching, theater, religion, and even military texts. French was the first language they actually started to translate from, and then it came along with English, Italian, and German. Latin and Greek, of course, started to disappear, and that's how a new ideology came along over South America.
It's believed that there was a translation school in Mexico in 16th century, but was in 1945 when appeared the first university program in translation in Cuba, Uruguay, Mexico, and Argentina, and in Hispanic America emerged in Chile and Venezuela. These programs are usually focused in English, French, and German, and offer like a thorough bachelor in translation. There are few programs that offer the interpretation like professional titles. The employment affair in Latin America is higher for the high demand of cultural, commercial, and industrial trade. However, the fight of trade union is constant because the work of the translators isn't recognized either economically or socially. The publications about translation in Latin America are very few because in Latin America the translation is focused in the translation of masterpieces like 100 Years of Solitude or Cien Años de Soledad, written by Gabriel García Márquez.